Wallace Gator Bradley, the president of United in Peace, Inc. I'm also the host of the Bradley Report. And as you know, the only way this show is possible is with the help of the chairman of United in Peace, Inc. She's also the producer and the director. She helped me to find the special guest to be on to this show. None other than the woman that God has blessed me with as my wife, Terry Mars. And with that, I want to say, to God be the glory. Got an interesting piece I want to talk about, which is the election of the Supreme Court. But I want you to hear this first.
C5 News exclusive. A property tax break given to the home of an Illinois Supreme Court justice is causing a political controversy. As NBC5 investigates, first reported on Monday, Justice Scott Novell has tonight with a follow-up to an NBC5 News exclusive. A property tax break given to the home of an Illinois Supreme Court justice is causing a political controversy. As NBC5 investigates, first reported on Monday, Justice Scott Novell has received a homeowner's exemption for more than 15 years, with his dead mother listed as the owner of that property. Now, Democratic Party leaders have asked for clarification from the Cook County assessor before giving Justice Novell their endorsement.
Political reporter Marianne Ahern is here with the story and the follow-up. Marianne.
That's right, Rob and Allison. That endorsement is now pending. Judge Novell was appointed to the Supreme Court last year. Now he is running for a full 10-year term, but this contest is expected to be expensive and nasty.
I've lived most of my most of the years on 43rd Street.
Illinois Supreme Court Justice Scott Novell points to this property. It's the home he owns and has received a homeowner's exemption for more than 15 years. Problem is, his mother, Alice Novell, who has been dead for 28 years, is listed on the tax bill as the owner. The judge actually lives here in the Beverly neighborhood, and the rule states you must live in the home where you receive a homeowner's exemption.
We're looking into it to see whether or not anything is owed. But
will you be repaying?
We have to investigate and determine whether or not there's any evidence about some tax being owed.
Your name is on the deed, correct?
That's absolutely correct. My name is on the deed.
Who is responsible for the tax?
The owner.
Appeals Court Judge Nathaniel Howes is also a Supreme Court candidate.
He should have known that he's not entitled to the homeowner's exemption on that property, and he should have noticed it, in my view.
While Novell received the first committee slating approval today, Democrats are asking for clarification from the assessor's office before the final vote tomorrow. The assessor spokesman tells NBC5, quote, "While we do not have the name of the person who filed for the exemption, his name is on the deed, so he's ultimately responsible for repayment of the erroneous exemption."
They have no record. If there's a record, then please present it to me. You do understand I'm a public official. I have to go to work.
Thank you. No, that's it. That's it. Thank you very much. There is no record of who asked for the exemption, but there is a record that the property received a tax break it did not qualify for. His campaign staff and the assessor's office both tell me that they are in communications to pay the money owed. The assessor can ask for up to 6 years of erroneous exemptions, which is expected to be less than $3,000. Robin Allison?
Thanks so much, Marianne.
You know, the most important thing about that is that since that story broke, he has paid back 4 years of the exemption. But the fact remains, he was an attorney, he was a circuit court judge, he was an appellate court judge, he's now an interim Supreme Court judge, and all the time that he was doing that, he was receiving a benefit fraudulently, okay, by the record. It ain't by what Gator said, that's proof. And everyone that knows even the lawyers that say they backing him because we want to keep the black guy on the bench. But you can't have an individual that may have an inference or an unethical cloud over his head. If he was a judge in the courtroom and those lawyers that supporting him had a client that came before him and felt that it may be a bias against their client, an inference of a bias against their client, by law, they can have him replaced as the judge that's adjudicating that case. My biggest fear is that when it came out, and everyone tried to get the impression that myself, because they know I'm supporting Nate Daniel House, the Appellate Court Justice Nate Daniel House, to run for the Supreme Court. There's a total of 7 people that's in the race. I'm not just harping on Neville's. I don't think Miss McBain or whatever her name is should be the Supreme Court Justice because of some nefarious things from what I read in the paper that she may have been doing with this guy that was a judge, Ken Ford, who was an assistant state's attorney that was prosecuting torture victims, police torture victims that John Burr them had tortured. Caller, I see you. Could you state your name?
Yeah, James.
Hey, James.
Okay, my prayers go out to the Kobe family, but if it was the other way around, what about the politician? It could happen to a politician or the governor or the mayor or anybody. Like what happened to Kobe? My prayers go out to the Kobe family.
Hey, thank you, James. Hey, mine too. Hey, man. I got 3 sons that were aspiring basketball players. Man, I'm like they had, in my estimate, and my wife included, a 72-hour morning over it. And like they brought it to me, Dad, Michael Jordan was the GOAT of your generation. And I said, you know what, you're right, man. You know you're right. And they told me, and Kobe was the GOAT of their generation. And I said, wow, that was deep. It was enlightening. And I realized that Kobe had did so much for the people in the community. He have done a lot. I'm not throwing shade on other basketball players. I'm just saying maybe they have done a lot and we may hear about it at a later time and later date. But my condolences, my family, my wife Terry, my son Leviticus, Carmiel, Watari, Thomas, they, all the men in my family, and especially the girls, because you know Terry is the girl, you know, she's the boss. But we all send our condolences to Kobe's family and the family of the others that was on that plane. Thanks for calling in, James, because sometimes that you said is more important than the dynamics of the politics. But back to the matter at hand. Say, for instance, Neville get elected. And then here come the thing where they say, hey, we're coming with, we hear that there's an inference that you may have engaged in fraud because your mother died in 91. And from what we saw publicly, you gave a public statement at a forum where individuals was running for the Supreme Court. And you made the statement that you and your siblings in 99 got the property. And that's when it started that his mother's name was used as if she still lived there. and they got a tax exemption starting then. Then he quick deed the property in 2004. 2004. He didn't stop receiving the benefits until August 2019, 15 years later. And you heard him. Well, if you got any proof, just show it. Well, they showed it. They showed it. And we, as a people, in Cook County, got to elect somebody for the Illinois Supreme Court. And I'm talking about appellate court justice, Nathaniel House. That has ethical fortitude, honesty, and integrity. Because right now, Neville, in my opinion, has soiled the road that Justice Freeman allowed him to wear as an interim Supreme Court justice. That's my opinion. So I'm telling people, I'm asking people, just Google the people that's running for these judicial office. I got a ticket that I'm pushing, and I call it the Criminal Justice Reform Ticket. Kim Foxx leading it. Okay? As we must re-elect Kim Foxx to the state's attorney's office, or we're going to have someone in that office that's worse, that's going to be worse than Daley, Devine, and Anita Alvarez combined. You see how that guy got his sister on his commercials as if he came and saved the day? I ain't got no problem with her receiving a check for being a part of that because he got money to burn. So don't think she just came voluntarily to say he saved the day. It was brought out at a forum at Trinity United Church of God on 95th Street. The first part of the forum that was dealing with the state's attorney's race, you had Kim Foxx and you had the two guys that's running for Republicans. And then you had Conway and you had Donna Moore there. After Kim Foxx, the other two guys had left. And this guy Conway tried to make mention of what he did to help save the black girl because Kim Foxx wasn't listening to her. Well, she never presented it because he cut a deal with the state's attorney's office for her when she could have got the benefit like the other 3,200 individuals got the benefit. Okay? That came out because Donna Moore brought it out of what he did. She also brought it out about the money that he should be giving back to his dad. But what's most important, I read an article where he had a problem, Conway had a problem with Kim Foxx with the county paying for Kim Foxx private attorney in the Smollett piece investigation. And it was brought out in that story that when he was an assistant state's attorney, allegedly he had to go to court because of prosecutorial misconduct. And the county, the state's attorney's office, then in 2012, hired a private attorney to represent him. And his response to that when it was exposed, well, let me find out they did do that. Let me find out who that attorney is, and I'd like to pay the county back that money that they paid to defend me. Well, as much money as your father got, I don't know why you waited for this, 2020? to want to pay the money back now that you done got exposed? We know that this guy, the Fraternal Order Police, and others are against Kim Foxx because she's releasing individuals because of police misconduct. The officers that was known for framing individuals, torturing individuals, have been released from the penitentiary because of wrongful convictions. One guy just got released the other day, James Fletcher Jr., 15 years into a life sentence. The prosecutors up under Kim Foxx dropped the charges because they was wrong. It says James Fletcher Jr. walked out of prison a free man Wednesday after serving 15 years of a life sentence for a murder he has long maintained he didn't commit. That's criminal justice reform. Cook County prosecutors dropped all charges against Fletcher at a brief hearing at the Lathan Criminal Court building. His short afro flecked with white, the 56-year-old turned to wave at his mother, father, and other relatives standing in the aisle of the courtroom. He was released from Stateville Prison in Joliet on Wednesday afternoon. Stateville Penitentiary is where I did my time almost 40-something years ago. I got a pardon from the governor now. To God be the glory on that, and all those like Jerry Butler, R. Eugene Pencham, Jesse Jackson, Carl Moses Brown, you can name them. They all aided and assisted me with being able to get my pardon from Governor Jim Thompson, former Governor Jim Thompson. It's kind of hard, he says. It's something I've been waiting for. But now that it's happened, joy. Fletcher's 88-year-old dad told reporters in the courthouse lobby, his voice barely rising above a whisper. His dad, 88 years old. God bless him. God blessed him, blessed his son, and blessed his wife to see their son come from behind those walls of Stateville Penitentiary because he was wrongfully convicted. Kim Foxx and your integrity unit, I salute you and I say hooray, hooray, hooray. But if you let Conway get it now, it's going to go back to the cover-up of bad assistant state's attorneys where some of them become judges. They're sitting on the bench. That's why it's important that you in Cook County come out and vote for Deidre Bowman, Baumann. Vote for Deidre Bowman for the Circuit Court of Cook County. Vote for Michael B. Hyman, Appellate Court Judge Michael B. Hyman, to be elected to the Appellate Court, and Appellate Court Justice Nathaniel House to be elected to the Illinois Supreme Court. We as a people got a right to do what's right. We can't scream and keep talking about what's wrong with the justice system when all we got to do is come out and vote. That's all we got to do. Come out and vote. Don't choke, vote. March 17th, 2020. Go to the judicial pages first. Go to the bottom of the ballot. Let's turn this upside down so it'll be right side up. When you see what's happening in Washington, D.C., where they provided a lot of evidence to show all the wrong that Trump has done, and they had a Supreme Court judge up there, and he had no power in the Senate, because the Senate had the power to override any decision that he make. When you watch that, and they made the vote today that they weren't allowing any witnesses, like Bowman, they're saying that he was in a room when the president told him he was holding the funds up from an ally of the United States. And his lawyer said it was okay. As a matter of fact, one of his lawyers that was defending Trump was in the room with Bowman, from what I just read, when the president told him that. So here the president had a lawyer that's defending him that was really a material witness to the crime. And the crime is, you cannot receive monies from a foreign entity or ask a foreign government or a foreign entity to get involved in the elections within the United States. A guy brought to my attention, he said, gave us some of that dark money that they spending. May came from the oligarchs of Russia, because they ain't got to explain where the money come from. But they're saying the reason that a lot of the senators were quiet is because McConnell has control over the money that's being used for their campaigns. So again, I'm saying, vote, 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 to elect Kim Foxx, re-elect Kim Foxx as the state's attorney, because she has a criminal justice reform and public safety platform. Elect appellate court justice Nathaniel House, H-O-W-S-E. You hear the commercials on the radio, House is in the house. Let's put him in that seat and bring integrity back to the Supreme Court. And elect him as the next Illinois Supreme Court Justice. And Michael B. Hyman, Appellate Court Justice Michael B. Hyman, elect him. In 2008, Michael Hyman hired me to work in his campaign. And he's running for judge. And the Sun-Times, the Tribune, everybody came at him because he hired me to be a part of his campaign. And the last public appearance that Judge Pincher made, he got out of his hospital bed, came to City Hall, had a press conference, and said that Michael B. Hyman had a right to hire me in his campaign to become the circuit court judge. And I'm saying in honor of our Eugene Pincher. People in Cook County, elect Michael B. Hyman, who has ethical fortitude, honesty, and integrity, to the appellate court of Illinois. And by all means, elect Deidre Bowman to the circuit court of Cook County. And with that, I want to say to To God be the glory. That's my story.